Probably the most used tasty chord. Hey everybody, Johnny Stewart here. Welcome to Johnny Stewart's Guitar Lounge. And today I'm going to show you how to easily transition between the G major chord, the G major 7 chord, and the G flat 7 or G dominant 7 or G7 chord. And I'll explain what all that means in just a minute. So most of you probably know how to play a regular G chord, but just in case, I don't want to assume, I'm going to show you how I like to play a regular G chord. And I've got a whole video on this. Actually, I've got 2 whole videos on this, so you can check those out too. We're going to take our ring finger and we're going to put it on our low E string on our 3rd fret. Then we're going to take our middle finger and we're going to put it on the 2nd fret on our A string. Then we're going to play the next 3 strings open, and we're going to take our pinky finger, and we're going to put that on our high E string on the 3rd fret. And it'll sound like this. Now for anybody who's seen my other videos on the G chord, you'll understand why I hate playing the G chord with these 3 fingers instead of the way I play it with these 3 fingers. But first, let me tell you what a G major 7 chord is. Instead of playing just a regular G major chord, you're going to play a G chord with the major 7, or the 7th note in it. And what does all that mean? Just here's a quick, easy, nitty-gritty theory lesson for you. You've got 8 primary notes in the major scale. And I'm not including the chromatics, and I'm not including the microtones, just to keep it really, really straightforward and easy for now. So in the G major scale, since we're working on the G chords today, you've got the root, or the 1, and since we're playing in G, that's the G. Then you've got the 2, and that's the A. Then you've got the B, and that's the 3rd. Then you've got the 4th, and that's the C. And then you've got the 5th, and that's the D, the open D string. Then you've got the E, that's the 6th. Then you've got the 7th, and that's the F sharp, and that's the note we're talking about today. And then, to finish the scale out, you've got the 8, or a repeat of the 1, but 1 octave up, the G. So, and that's the note we're focusing on today. Then to do it another octave up, or there. Okay, so now you've gone through a major scale, Johnny. What are you trying to show me? So what I'm trying to show you is that 7th note, that F sharp. We're going to be putting that into the chord. And you can put it into the chord technically anywhere on the fretboard you want to, but the most straightforward way to do it, and the way I'm going to show you today, is to add it right up here as the highest note. That'll help to make it ring out the clearest, and I think it'll make the most sense for you as you're learning how to incorporate this chord into your playing. So that's the G major chord. This is what the G major 7 chord is going to sound like. You hear that difference? Hear that big difference? And it's a beautiful chord. So as you can see, all I'm doing to make that G major 7 chord is, instead of playing the 3rd fret on my high E string, I'm playing the 2nd fret. So this is a regular G major chord, and then this is a G major 7 chord. And I'm trying to get my pinky way out of the way so you can see that I'm just using these 3 fingers. Now that might also give some of you a glimpse into why I hate playing a G chord the way that it seems like everybody learns it these days, with these 3 fingers. Because if you want to play a G major chord like that, and then if you want to transition quickly to a G major 7 chord, for instance, what have you got to do? You've got to get this finger back here for this, but then you've got to take your middle finger and you've got to try to find that 2nd fret of your A string, and you've got to end up with your ring finger on the low E string on your 3rd fret anyway. So instead of having to try to go back and forth between all that, which is very awkward obviously, to try and move your whole hand around like that, why not just have to move that 1 finger? See, there's your pinky finger, you just take your pinky finger off, put your index finger on at the same time on the 2nd fret. Listen to how easy this is. Instead of, see how jumbled that is? Why go through all that? Just make the G chord all the time with these 3 fingers, so you're always ready. And you're not just ready for that, you're also ready to make the flat 7 or the dominant 7. And why is that important? Because in popular music and in blues, pop, rock, country, most of the time you're going to see a flat 7. It's probably the most used, tasty chord. And now I'm kind of going to answer my own question here for a second, but why don't we just call a G major 7 a G7. That's because of popular music, and I've explained this in other videos before, but just as a little recap, if you haven't watched my other videos yet, the G7 chord, the flat 7, or what is called the dominant 7 in pop music, that dominant 7 is a flat 7. So remember how I said there are 8 notes in a scale? Well, you've also got a bunch of other notes in the chromatic scale. So instead of just the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and that's that major 7, and then the 8, you've got that 7, and you've got the 6, and notice there's a fret in between. That is a sharp 6 or a flat 7. The sharp 6 and the flat 7 are the same note. But in this case, if this is an F sharp in the key of G, then that's the F. And it turns out that actually is the F, I promise. That's the F. No matter where you play it on the fretboard, the flat 7 in the key of G is an F. All right, so just for an example, I'm going to do a G to a C and then back to a G. Tell me which you think sounds a little bit more colorful and tasty. Here's the G chord, then the C. Now I'm going to do it with the flat 7. See how it just adds a little bit of movement and leads nicely into the 4 chord? Just listen again. So that might be one reason why you want to use it. There are a million reasons to want to play a flat 7 chord or a dominant 7 chord. Look how easy it is when we're in this formation with the G chord. Again, like with the major 7, where we're going to use our index finger up on the 2nd fret. For this, all we're going to do is slide that index finger down to the 1st fret. So that's the G7 chord, or the G flat 7 chord, or the G dominant 7 chord. And remember, that differs from the G major 7 chord, because with the G major 7 chord, you're playing the F sharp up here on the 2nd fret of your high E string with these same fingers. The pinky's not involved. That's the G major 7, and that's the G flat 7, or commonly called just the G7 or G dominant 7. So if you are playing a piece of music and you see in the tablature or on the chart, on the chord chart, whatever you've got, if you see a G chord, just play it like that. If you see a G7 chord, you're not going to just throw the 7th in, you're going to put the flat 7 in. But if you see G major 7 or GMaj7, that's when you're going to want to put your index finger on your 2nd fret of your high E string and play the F sharp. And if you like this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, because it really, really does make a big difference on YouTube. I hope now you know the difference between the G major, the G major 7, and the G7 chord, and I hope you can play them all better and more easily now. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Let me know what else you want to see. Subscribe to my channel so you keep up to date with everything that's going on right here in Johnny Stewart's Guitar Lounge, my guitar lounge, and I will see all of you next time.